Hello, and welcome to the data overview for South Paulding High School. My name is Scott Lords, and I'm a candidate for the Instructional Technology Master's Program at Kennesaw State University. I teach at South Paulding High School in the Paulding County School District and have been teaching in the Social Studies Department for the last 5 years. In this presentation, I will be focusing on the 9th grade Algebra 1 Georgia Milestone exam, specifically how students with disabilities at South Paulding performed on the milestone for the 2017 to 2018, 2018 to 2019, and the 2020 to 2021 school years. Our intended audience is the school improvement team as well as the Algebra 1 professional learning community. Some of the purposes for this presentation is first to report and review the demographic changes at South Paulding High School for the last 3 years mentioned. We are also going to highlight and compare the achievement gap between students with disabilities between the state of Georgia, the Paulding County School District, and, of course, South Paulding High School on the Algebra 1 milestone end of course exam. And lastly, we will offer suggestions of action steps that are to help improve students with disability scores at South Paulding High School. Our student population has slowly increased over the last 3 years, with the majority of the population being white or Caucasian. Only 1% of the student body has been identified in the limited English proficient category. The enrollment in both the compensatory programs and selected programs has stayed pretty consistent over the 3 years that we are analyzing. The special education program has increased from 11.9% to 14.1%. A little over half the student body is enrolled in pathway programs that are offered at South Paulding, such as cosmetology, teaching, law enforcement, healthcare, and construction, just to name a few. The overall graduation rate rose from 83.1% to 85.3% from 2018 to 2021. The graduation rate for students with disabilities rose from 54.4% to 76.8% from 2018 to 2021. There has not been significant change in the makeup of teachers and staff at South Paulding. The majority of teachers at South have either a bachelor's and master's degrees, are Caucasian or white, and have less than 21 years of teaching experience. According to the Georgia Department of Education website, the breakdown for milestone scores fall in 4 different categories as seen: the beginning learner, the developing learner, the proficient learner, and the distinguished learner. To be considered a passing score, a student must reach either proficient or distinguished learner. When comparing scores with the state, the school, and the district levels, we see that South Paulding student scores are fairly comparable. The Algebra 1 milestone, however, as we can see here, it tells us a different story. Each year you will see that South Paulding scores are consistently below that of the district and the state level. The same thing can be seen in the 2018-2019 school year, where there is an achievement gap growing between the school and the state level. The school level data is showing consistently that the majority of students that have completed the Algebra 1 milestone are scoring in the beginning and developing learner achievement levels. Here we see an increase from 2017 of students scoring in the beginning learners level and a decrease in the proficient learner and distinguished learners, with 2020-2021 school year having no distinguished learners. Once again, the subgroup that we are focusing on is students with disabilities and how they scored on the Algebra 1 milestone. So first, let's look and compare the state of Georgia and South Paulding students with disabilities. In the 2017-2018 school year, 8.8% of students with disabilities across the state of Georgia earned a passing score, compared to only 1.3% of South Paulding students with disabilities earned a passing score. In other words, only one student out of 75 at South Paulding passed the milestone exam for Algebra 1 in the 2017-2018 school year. In the following year, 2018 to 2019 school year, 10.4% of students with disabilities across the state of Georgia earned a passing score, increasing from the previous year by 1.6%. The passing rate increased from 1.3 to 4.3 at South Paulding, with 3 out of 69 students that passed the Algebra 1 milestone. In the 2020-2021 school year, both the school and the state scores are very comparable, with 7.2% passing at the state level and 6.5% passing on the school level. Again, only 3 out of 46 students with disabilities passed the Algebra 1 milestone at South Paulding High School. The beginning learners at South increased from the previous year by 15.2%, thus increasing the number of students who did not demonstrate proficiency and need substantial academic support. So looking at some strengths and weaknesses, first let's focus on the weaknesses. So as previously mentioned, only one student with a disability scored in the proficient learner category in 2017 to 2018 at South Paulding. There was a 15.2% increase in the beginning learners category for students with disabilities from 2018 to 2020 school year. And no student at South Paulding has scored in the Distinguished Learners category in the 3 years that we have been monitoring. Some strengths: we do see a 3% increase in the Proficient Learners category from 2017 to 2018 school years. There is a 4.4% decrease in the Beginning Learners category from 2017 to 2018 school years. There is a yearly increase in the Proficient Learners category in all 3 years that we've been looking at South Paulding High School. And lastly, South Paulding students with disabilities show a lower percent of beginning learners than the state data in 2017-2018 school year. I apologize for that. Looking at the School Improvement Action Plan at South Paulding, there is a SMART goal that has been made of increasing level 3 and 4 percentages in Algebra 1 milestone course. So to fit this SMART goal, some areas that we need to improve is Algebra 1 teachers will need to implement and utilize data from the Math 180 program to drive and adjust instruction. So to do this, it is suggested that instructors will need to consistently assess and monitor progress on the Math 180 program, in which then the PLCs will need to constantly disaggregate the data from the Math 180 program to adjust and differentiate instruction as needed. And also another area of improvement, the Algebra 1 PLC will need to frequently analyze and use formative and summative data to drive instruction, which they will need to then continually discuss the recovery process as well as policies to make a positive impact on instruction. So some questions that I think are important for us to kind of look at, analyze, discuss, both as a data team as well as with the Algebra 1 PLC, is how can South Paulding continue to raise these scores and be more comparable with the state of Georgia? How can we better prepare our students with disabilities to pass the Algebra 1 milestone exam? How could we increase participation for before or after school tutoring, maybe some incentive program of sorts? And also, what types of professional development would have the most benefit for our special education teachers, specifically our special education teachers in math? And there is also this idea of a non-math teacher committee, which how this would work is teachers from other disciplines would make up this committee where they would meet and team up with Algebra 1 an Algebra 1 teacher to teach a lesson to a committee member who would then give feedback on areas that could be confusing to a teenager, especially when they may have some developmental delays. Using that feedback, the Algebra 1 teacher can then revise their lesson plan where needed and as needed. So the question here is, would Algebra 1 teachers be open to this idea of a non-math teacher committee? So with that, it's now time for us to go and discuss these questions to see how we can better improve and lessen the achievement gap for our students with disabilities in achieving higher levels in the Algebra 1 Georgia milestone. Thank you very much.